Hello and welcome back. I'm truly delighted to introduce our first esteemed keynote speaker, Mr. Onindo Bose, Executive Editor at Springer Nature Group, London, UK. Mr. Bose brings over 26 years of experience in marketing and publishing. As part of Springer's global acquisition team, he oversees the acquisition of interdisciplinary applied sciences content worldwide. He holds a master's in organic chemistry from Delhi University and a master's in marketing research from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies, Pune. Mr. Bose has delivered over 150 invited talks on scientific writing and publishing ethics at renowned universities and international conferences. He is also the member of the American Chemical Society of USA. Sir, we are honored to have you here today. For the felicitation of Mr. Onindo Bose, I would like to invite Dr. Paramartha Datta, Professor in the Department of Computer and System Sciences at Vishwabharati University.
Thank you, Professor. I don't know whether you will be able to hear me from here, or should I go back to the mic because I hate gadgets around my neck or something over there. You all can hear me, right? Perfect. Now we don't have any online audience also, so I don't have to worry about standing there and delivering. I usually love walking between people, and then it becomes more interactive. You can stop me anytime if you have a question. If you don't have a question, think of one, because questions are not stupid, only answers are. So I will be giving the answers, so you can very well understand that. So thank you, Soumi, thank you, Abhishek, and for inviting us. And I am part of your team, so I don't want to elaborate anything on this. You have already spoken about it. So this is the first keynote of the day, and I think after the fantastic inaugural session, I will be able to do justice to my talk and make you engage with it. See, usually it's a big challenge when we go to conferences what exactly we want to speak about. Because publishing covers so many areas that what exactly is basically interesting to you. But I feel, when we are talking in this particular situation in today's terms, ethics is something which is very important. Ethics is very close to my heart also. And I don't believe there is something different in research ethics. Ethics is its life. You should have discipline in your life. You should have ethics in your life. And if you are ethical from very beginning, and sometimes I feel it's very, very sad that I am talking about ethics to people who are already at this stage. I should be talking to people, students who are at school level, so that they can adapt to ethics quickly. But definitely there are certain points, and we will also concentrate on some author services. Because as James said in the beginning, we are developing a lot of tools. We are using artificial intelligence very effectively and trying to make.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Put it. Thank you. Yeah, we are also using and creating using AI. We are actually developing a lot of tools, and these tools are very useful for research scholars who are doing PhDs. And in a way, I can agree with you that all tools are not for everyone. So definitely you have to select, and you can go back and you can do that. I will also give you some information over here, and these informations are very important, where you get immediate. You will get to know about guidelines, you will get to know about rules, and these are very important. As you know, when you play a game, you need to know the rules first. So if you are basically trying to publish a paper, submit a paper, and you need to know the rules quickly. This is how the infographic it looks. I don't want to scare you with all the details over there, but this is something which we say, I cannot put this thing over. Yeah. So this is, here you can see, the Springer was founded in Germany in 1842. It's in Berlin. A small shop was opened, a bookstore, and then eventually, a lot of Nobel laureates started coming to the store, and our owner at that time, Julius Springer, he basically, thought of starting a publishing house. Why not publish? Because publishing was a very different ball game in those days. People never used to come and publish immediately with journals or books. They used to do a lot of self-publication. And with the self-publication, they used to go to conferences, they used to present their work, they will come back, they will, again, they do some self-publication, go there and do it. So Springer has already been there since 1842. If you look at here, Macmillan founded in 1843. Why I'm talking about Macmillan? Because Springer and Macmillan Science and Education, they came together in 2015, and they have actually, their company is known as Springer Nature right now. And in 1869, Nature journal was launched, and 1869 has a very important, it's a very important year for Indian people. If you can tell me why 1869 is very important for India? Anything coming to your mind? Is it appealing or telling you about anything why 1869 is more important than Nature for India? Mahatma Gandhi's birth. So Gandhi and Nature came together. So and interestingly, and is a father of nation. So, but interesting part is happening here. 2015 we became Springer Nature. 2021, the first company to publish 1 million OA articles. So everybody is talking about open science, open access nowadays. We actually being very, very fortunate that we started open access for last 20 years, we are into it. 2011, actually, we started with book publishing in open access area. And right now, we are almost there at a position where our 50% articles are already open access. I will tell you about more numbers. And here you can see very well in 2022 also we published almost 2000 OA books. Now into 2024 we will be finishing that with some 4,500 numbers. So that's again a big achievement for the organization. I will throw some more numbers to you, which will give you some more highlights about the organization. We have almost 10,000 employees working from 45 different countries. We actually publish 14,000 plus research books. Springer is always known as a book publisher. And we are number one in STMM, Science, Technology, Management and Medicine, if you look at it, or STEM, where, because we started with mathematics and then came into engineering, and this is how the whole flow was there. And we published almost 14,000 research books. We also published 420,000 articles in 2023. So this is a very, very big number if you look at it. And interestingly, we have published 183,000 open access articles, which makes 44% of articles open access. So we have very ambitious, plans for our future also, and we will definitely work in this area to make it more open access. Here you can see we are working with almost 750,000 peer reviewers and 1 lakh editors worldwide. So these numbers will speak about how we are engaged with the community right now. And interestingly, if you look at this community, this is a very interesting thing. If you see, when you write a paper, you are an author. When you read that paper, you are a reader, the same person, and when you are not doing these two things, you are actually reviewing. So you are a reviewer. It's a triangle over there, which is there, and you are working at different point of time, you are working with different things. Coming to our first section of the talk, it's ethical issues. As I said, ethics is very close to my heart. I believe, when we publish, we actually look for only two things. And many people ask me, how much money you take for publication, So I only say we take only quality. Money we are not bothered, when we are doing conferences. The first important thing is basically ethics and quality. The word copyright is interesting word, and you all know this word. Music industry has faced a lot of problems. We also are facing a lot of issues with copyright issues because of digital publishing came into being. With the print publishing, copyright issues were much lesser. With electronic publishing is much. But
English is a interesting language, you know. It's a, if you just put a small space between copy and write, no, it's not right. Not right to copy at all. But interestingly, I don't want to tell you about the definitions over here. What I want to tell you is about COPE, Committee on Publication Ethics. Committee on Publication Ethics is a body. All the good publishers are basically the member of COPE, and COPE is a platform where you can find guidelines and rules, and different kind of case studies are also involved over there. So you can go, you can see how COPE is basically creating those guidelines, and how publishers like us, they go and they work with these guidelines to control and to basically work with all these ethical or unethical aspects of publication. What is the most occurring reason for retraction? Anyone can tell me what is the meaning of retraction? Then we can proceed with that. What is the simple meaning of retraction? Retract, taking back, right? It's taking back. Retraction is taking back. So when it was a print mode, like everything is in printing mode, not in the digital mode, you cannot, someone has purchased a book, someone has purchased a journal, you cannot go to them and retract anything. You know, you cannot tell them, okay, this is unethical, we give it back. That is not possible. It is only possible when it is digital publishing. So we actually conducted, this is the survey conducted by STM Group, and they actually shared these figures with us. And it says the first reason you can see of retraction is honest error. 40% is honest error. How come this honest error is happening? That means people are committing mistakes unknowingly. They are not conscious about it, and that is happening just because they don't know the rules, they don't know the guidelines, and that is why they are committing a mistake which is actually trapping them over for retraction. Interestingly, another thing I want to tell you about retraction is, sometimes people think retractions means taking away. So taking away means we will take the content away from the platform. No, we are not doing that. Content will remain there with a message very clearly mentioning that the work has been retracted because of this reason. And that is more derogatory actually for the author. But if it is a threat, if something is very threatful and life-threatening thing is published, and then we will retract it completely, we will remove it from there. Otherwise, your content will be there. Now, looking at the second reason, it's fabrication and falsification. This is like, you know, internet came into being. People are getting everything from internet. Data is available. Data is free. Data is not free. You have to understand that, you know, if someone is publishing something, if some data is available on internet, it has a copyright, it has a trademark of someone. So it is something which you cannot copy directly, you have to take permission and you can do it, but people are actually fabricating and falsifying. Redundant publication, which is self-plagiarism, and then there are other reasons also. Simultaneous submission. Simultaneous submission is unethical. Can you tell me what is simultaneous submission is? What exactly is simultaneous submission?
More than one at a time, more than journal.
Correct. You are sending one paper to multiple journals at the same time. Now, why it is unethical? See, as an author, I am just sending my article to 5 journals and testing water and checking, you know, people are doing it, you know, they are sending it to different publishers, and different publishers, they come back with their decisions. Now, I will publish with one, but still simultaneous submission I am saying is unethical, right? It's unethical because it's a waste of time, effort and resource. And who is this resource? Reviewers. Reviewers are the resource, and if you are basically trying to organize any conference, if you are a part of a journal, you will understand that the most difficult part is the review part. When you talk about this conference, in the morning, Abhishek said 974 papers were actually submitted and 127 papers are accepted. That means you can very well imagine 85% papers are rejected. Now, these 85% papers rejection is a huge task, because you have to actually review everything, and review is the biggest task, you know. And if you are doing a simultaneous submission, then obviously you are wasting that resource, because all 5 journals are going to send it for review. I will give you a small story over here. It happened with us, you know. One of the authors, they actually, he or she, I don't remember right now, I was from India only, they sent their paper to 2 different journals, Journal of Optics, Springer, and Photonics, Elsevier, at the same time. Very good paper, very niche area, but interestingly, these 2 editors, they send it to the same it's a small world, you know, it happens. They have sent it to the same reviewer, and this reviewer, being a friend of all these people, you know, they had a good laugh about it. And then finally what happened, the author was actually, you know, he was blacklisted or put it in a list where they don't want to publish with him because of simultaneous submission, because they are wasting the time for reviewers, wasting the efforts. Then we have something called multiple submissions. And multiple submissions are like, you know, sending several different manuscripts to the same publisher. And this is happening in two cases. Usually in a case like a conference, which is very, very rampant nowadays, you know, one conference and you will find 100 papers, out of 100 papers, 20 papers are coming from the same set of authors, or 20 papers are coming from the same institute, which is very, very unethical, which is something one should avoid. Second thing is something is happening in special issues also. In special issues, you will find there is one editor, guest editor, and they are basically contributing their papers to it. So my suggestion to you is, whenever you are looking for a conference or whenever you are looking for a submission platform, please go and try to check previous edition contents. That is very, very important. Suppose this is the third edition, so you can very well go and see the first edition and second edition. All the front matter content is always freely available. Go to the preface, go to the foreword, read them, check what is the acceptance rate, check the TOC, whether your paper is matching the scope, whether there are multiple submissions or not, whether there are this type of submissions are happening or not, correct? That will give you an idea whether they are serious about it, they are ethical about it or not, and that will actually help you to submit your paper to the correct place. Plagiarism. Plagiarism is the buzzword, but nobody loves this word actually, to be very honest with you. No one loves this if you write to them, say your paperwork is plagiarized. But we have synonyms. So you can use word like similarity, you can use word like overlapping. So you can tell authors, you know, your work is 70% overlapping. So they said, okay, no worries, we will change it. But you say 20% plagiarized, that will be very, very problematic. But plagiarism is something which you should be taking care of, you know, you should not get into it. And what exactly you have to do, there is some document called Association of Research Libraries have published it in 2012. What is the fair use, how you can use it in a fair way if you are actually taking content from someone else's work or even your own work. But our suggestion as a publisher, we always say take permission and then use it. Why get into all these fair use thing? It's a simple way of taking it. Now everything is electronic publishing, and I will tell you how to take it also. It's very easy. Before that, how are we alerted to plagiarism? You know, how we get to know that there is a plagiarism? Usually the original author tells us, you know. The author who has written a paper, they come back to us, oh, my work has been copied by someone else, you know. So, and this is something unethical. Or sometimes reviewers, very seldom, they cannot actually pinpoint, but being a reviewer, they are actually with the content for so long and they are doing it repeatedly, they get to know, oh, something fishy is there, and they alert us, okay, there is some problem with this paper. Thirdly, we have our whistleblowers, readers who are reading both the content at different places, and they can know, oh, same paper is at two different places. And this is because it is happening just because of the kind of pressure we have created in our whole ecosystem, that you have to publish, you have to publish. I have seen so many PhD scholars, they have just joined, and I go and talk to them, they say, what about the publication? What about Scopus indexing publication? You see, they are not actually worried about what are they going to do next. They are not talking about their own goals, problems, experiments, and they are more worried because they see the people are actually toiling, and they are time is a great concern when someone is trying to publish their paper. So they are getting into this loop. But the best thing is to concentrate, focus on your work, so that you come out with some quality content which is like immediately accepted by the community, by the journal, by the conference, not actually get stressed over it. But we also know there are tools which can actually help us to identify plagiarism, right? Which are these tools? Turnitin. Any other? Authenticate, Docolock, right? But I would tell you that it cannot actually identify plagiarism. It cannot identify plagiarism, it can only throw some numbers to you. I will give you some examples, quick examples, and tell you, this is how the plagiarism tool looks, internally, Authenticate. This is how it looks, where the titles are there, the similarities are there. See, such a beautiful, colorful paper. but interestingly, it is not a good paper, plagiarism wise. So, I will tell you why I am saying this. a tool cannot detect all problems. Let me give you a quick example. Actually, a low similarity score does not mean there is no plagiarism. Suppose there are two papers, X and Y, and we check with any tool and we get, okay, X has 30% similarity, Y has 10% similarity. So looking at the similarity will tell us actually X is more plagiarized and Y is less plagiarized. So here the identifier comes, the subject expert or the reviewer, and immediately the reviewer can see, oh, this 30% is coming from 30 different sources, but this 10% is coming from one source or two sources in the methods or in the results or somewhere, which is more dangerous. So that is why I say, low similarity score does not mean there is no plagiarism. It is also important to look at the individual scores, because suppose two papers, X and Y, 30%, 30%. Now these are the 30% from 30 sources and this 30% from 3 sources. So again, we have to go back and you have to check like that. So it's vital, it's very important that papers should be checked by reviewers and not only by tools. Yesterday we were in Adamas University and we were having a discussion, and we were telling this also, we were having different kind of question and answer sessions. See, tools are there to help, not to take a decision. Decision lies with subject experts who are the reviewers. They are going to tell whether the paper is accepted or not, whether the content is accepted or not, whether the content is needed there, even if it is used somewhere else, or whether it is a self-plagiarism or not, right? Setting a standard is not possible, but you have to set some standard to work. So if it is between 1 and 20% similarity, then you go quickly check that, a glance where exactly is, and then you can send it for review. If it is 20 to 40, then you better send it back to the author for revising it. If it is something more than 40, it is better not to publish that, and tell very clearly to the author. Only publications by participating publisher societies. It's a cross-check database which is actually getting checked, and the internet content which is freely available. So it is important that if there is something published in print mode, cannot be checked by the tool. So interestingly, I was actually in Udaipur and talking to many students over there, and one student came to me and said, sir, you have talked about so many tools, but you haven't spoken about the best tool. So I said, which is the best tool? He said, Google Translator. You can take a Portuguese paper or Spanish paper and you get translated, nothing can catch. no tool can catch. So this is not an idea. this is not an idea. This is something very unethical. People are doing it. As James said in the morning, these are very, very powerful tool. And Google Translator is actually becoming a very powerful tool. DeepL is a very powerful tool. We were using these tools for our auto translation work and all. But definitely you have to have a caution, and you need to know where you are using ethically what exactly you are doing, right? Then we have common phrases. Common phrases, definitions, common algorithms, they are always part of your paper. They will be highlighted by the tool, but definitely they are not plagiarism. Text for which you have taken permission. You have already taken permission for something, and then also it will be basically highlighted by the tool, because tool is just a semantic link and matching, right? And finally, there is patchwork plagiarism. Patchwork plagiarism is also known as salami publication. You go to Google and if you write salami publication, you will get to know what is this. And I can tell you, there are organizations who are doing this by taking money. So there is just change of language what they are doing, and you are republishing your paper and without, and tool is just saying 0% similarity. Self-plagiarism, as I said, this is something which you have already published, and if you have already published something, then you can refer your work rather than republishing the content again in a form, and then you will fall into this category that there is a self-plagiarism. So in case you cannot avoid something, that is definitely there. There are certain things which you have to put for your next paper, and that is something which is understood by the reviewers, that is understood by the chief editors, and they will not say it's plagiarized, but definitely self-plagiarism is something which you need to take care. Fabrication and falsification, as I said, these are the things which are, with more data, this is becoming more rampant and people are doing it, which is unethical. General advice, verbatim copying should be put into quotation marks. Suppose you are using something from somewhere like 2 sentences, you put into quotation marks and give credit to the original author over there. Otherwise, you take permission. Don't go back to the author to take permission, because usually authors, they don't know how to give permission to you. It is always good to go to the publisher like us. You can come to us. I will tell you how to do it also. And always request permission for reuse of figures and tables. Whenever you are reusing figures and tables, whether it's your paper, whether it's someone else's paper, even if it's a single table or a single figure also, take permission back and then reuse that content. How to take it? Very easy. This is a chapter which was published in Springer. You will find below that thing, you go to the home page, you will find there is a link called reprints and permissions. You go to reprints and permissions, you will find there is another window will open, and that is rights link. Rights link, you go, you have to answer certain questions and answer them correctly. If it is your own paper and you are reusing the content, there is no charge. But in case suppose the content is from someone else's paper, you are writing a book where you are getting some kind of a remuneration, then there is a possibility there you have to pay some charges, and then you get the permission back to reuse the content. Quickly I will tell you about these things.
I have just a question.
Yeah, please, thank you.
If anybody wants to use the, like any writer, small writer, if without permission, if they give any reference during the book chapter, is there any problem?
Yes, usually it depends how much content you are using basically. If it's a fair use content, it is not very huge content, 2 sentences or something, you just give the, but again I will say, this is a process which is a very quick thing, digitally available. It is not going to take more than 10 minutes. Why not take permission and use it rather than, anyone can.
As you said, this is chargeable. So
Yes.
It's chargeable. So every time we have to take permission and give charge. Instead, while writing book particularly, we give some reference.
No, I'm not talking about references. I am talking about when you are using a figure, when you are using a content directly from there. Yeah, of course. See, I will just tell you quickly about these things, and you can go and check them. Again, go back to your friend Google and you can see Saigen. I don't know how many of you know Saigen here. Saigen is a tool which was developed by students of MIT. They wanted to show the world that there are conferences where reviews are not done. So they created this tool where you can put your name, and after putting your name, you say generate, a paper will be generated in computer science. Now you have something called MathGen. MathGen is doing for maths. So a paper will be generated. Each sentence is a correct sentence, but sentence to sentence there is no meaning. So they created a scientist and they started sending these fake papers. The H index of that scientist is 29. Because they were able to publish so many papers with this fake tool. Robo-writers, you all know nowadays, LLMs are there, robo-writers are there, which is something very, very important you need to know. Only alert I will give you, don't use robo-writers or LLMs as enhancers. They are not Grammarly. The moment you are doing that, you are training the tool. You are putting your original content into the server, and that is something which is getting saved. Coming to predatory journals, whenever you are finding a journal, selecting a journal, you can go to this list. There is a list called Beall's list, Bealls. You go to the Beall's list, quickly you can take a check, whether that it is listed in a predatory journal or not. If it is, don't submit there, otherwise you can go ahead. Paper mill, you can very well understand from here, paper mill means factory. So people are basically pleasing each other. Someone from different field altogether, you are citing here, you are taking them as an author, they are taking you as an author. So more papers are getting generated. Nowadays we are getting very serious with this in our Springer office, and a lot of research integrity team members have been recruited. We have recruited a big team, and they are looking into paper mill very, very cautiously. And this is something which is actually a reason for so many retractions which are happening right now. Tortured phrases, as correctly James has already indicated this. I will give you a quick easy example of this. Suppose a paper is in smart city and you don't want to write smart city because you don't want to get into that trap of things, so you just put brilliant city. So immediately it gets changed, But there is a website called PubPeer, Pubpeer. You go to PubPeer and you will find there are a lot of work there which are torture phrases, or there are unethical activities are happening and they are highlighted over there. So that's an eye opener, and you also get to have a lot of information from there. And finally, citation manipulation. This is a equation, mathematics. You know the numbers and you can actually do a lot of citation manipulation. You have senior people are doing it, not the junior ones, to be very honest with you. But this is something, a gray area where you should be aware of. Quickly, I will just go through some services and publishing tools. Will tell you that you can go and use them. To start with, this is a tool developed by EDANS. EDANS is a company in Japan. They worked with us closely, and this is for selecting a journal. So many new journals are coming up, every day, and you really, sometimes you don't know a new good journal is there. So you go to this particular tool, you just put the title of your paper, you just put abstract or keywords of your paper, and you say find search. They will list many journals which are actually meant for your submission. We also have this in Springer Link. If you go to this particular page, home and journals, we have a journal finder tool where you can put the details similarly, and you can find a journal from our 4,000, almost 4,000 journals we are publishing. You can very well find a journal which is useful for you. For EDANs, they are across the publishing.
So this will give recommendation only Springer.
Exactly.
Only Springer.
This will give only for Springer, but the one which I showed before, they have almost, you can see 28,000 journals are here.
Yeah.
EDANs, yeah. So where you will get recommendation from many other publishers also. Reviewer finder, I find this tool very interesting because nowadays when you, yeah.
And EDANS is not saving the data, like I'm
No,
searching.
no, they are not.
Like I'm pasting my abstract.
Yes.
So it is not
No.
in the repository.
Reviewer finder is a tool, very interesting tool, where nowadays when you submit your paper to any journal, they ask for name of reviewers, right? So sometimes you can go to this tool and find reviewers, but I find this tool very interesting in a way. This is a tool for networking. If you can find a person where you can actually find a person who is working in your area as a reviewer, you can also write to them, because this is a situation where we are living right now is like communication is the most important thing, right? If you can go and write to them, they can write back to you, and this is how your collaboration can increase. So this can be used as a networking tool also. And this is a fantastic page which we have developed over the years. This is like under services. If you go to springer.com, under services, this page is there, which is called author and reviewer tutorials. This is a page which is talking about book authors. Similarly, we have pages for journal authors. A lot of information, a lot of videos, a lot of text. So if you go and spend some time in these pages where okay, I will get the materials, then you don't need any author workshops or anything in future. Shared it. This is another tool which we have developed almost 5 years ago. We are doing it, we have done it for journal articles, conference papers. Like if you have published any paper in Springer Nature, and that you will get a link from our production team, and that link you can share with people, and your whole paper is basically, I can read that paper. I cannot download it, I cannot print it, but I can annotate it, I can read the whole thing. This is very helpful in a way because this, see, not only sharing it, but actually when your institute has not subscribed anything, and you are basically, you are looking at a paper and you cannot only see the abstract, then you can write to the corresponding author, please share it with me. They can do it, and you can get the access to the whole paper. ORCID ID is like, I always say it's like an Aadhaar card for researchers where this gives a unique recognition of your work. People have similar names, sometimes citations gets mixed. So if you have a unique identity that will recognizes your work correctly. So if you don't have an ORCID ID, please go and have it. This is a page, yeah.
And I would say also the ORCID IDs, for us, they're kind of an identifier in terms of research integrity. If we see an ORCID ID on somebody's submission, it tells us this person is serious about their research. So I would encourage everybody to look at it. It's very easy to get one. I mean, you just give very little data and you get it. Sorry, Anil.
Thank you so much.
Regarding this,
Yeah.
what's the ID having is very much helpful for us. Now, what is happening for the paper? If someone is given their personal mail ID, that are not shown in the paper.
Yes.
Okay, so this could create a problem regarding the citation count. So, if we give this ORCID ID, will it work?
Yes, that's a very good question, and I would like to tell you that this is something which we are doing for last 5 or 6 years. Initially, if you were giving your personal email IDs also, they used to appear as your corresponding author email ID, which we have stopped completely. We are basically looking forward to your institutional IDs, and we are not going to publish anything of your personal thing over there, and that is happening since 2018. For 5-6 years we are doing it. But so if you have ORCID, obviously your recognition is attached to that, and it's easy for us to give you recognition and your credit, everything.
Because one problem with the organization ID is that someone is changing.
Of course, I fully understand. I fully understand that, and that, yes, that is why this works much better. Yeah.
One more Scopus also.
Yes,
So
yes.
you can count the Scopus index also through these words.
Whatever database is there, they will fetch this thing. Yeah.
Essentially, it should be better for your site because it will follow you. If you change names, some people change names when they get married. People even change genders. And then they change names too. Orchid ID will remain.
That is the unique ID based on
Unique
your
ID
practice.
for market.
And of course, we also have the problem of, I mean, I'm Irish, and in Ireland, it's a very small country, we have many people who are called Patrick Murphy. That's the problem when you go to China or India, you have many, many more people who have the exact same name.
Yes.
And that's why this is very important.
This is a very informative page which we have, springernature.com/in/policies, because as I said in the beginning, I told you about COPE. Policies are very, very important. You need to know where to get this information. That is more important. Whenever it's not that you have to go there and you have to memorize something, or you have to, this is more like a reference thing. We are talking about publishing policies, editorial policies, book publishing policies, and interestingly we are talking about research data policies, because people are using a lot of data nowadays for their work, and open access publication policies. OA funding is very important. When we say we are actually talking about open access, then you need money to publish that. We always say it's an author pay model. Yesterday we had a long discussion on this, but interestingly, author never pays. It's either a institution or a funding body or a sponsor, they pay. So you go and ask for it. Importantly, whenever you ask, then only you get, otherwise you won't get. So this is a page where you can go, springernature.com/in/open-research, where you will get to know a lot about funding bodies and where you can actually apply. Quickly, I will tell you about this particular type of book to you, because this is a kind of a book which was actually, we started in 2010. It was actually discussed in 2010, one of the seminars of Springer internal seminars, and then we launched it in 2011. These are like small books. Why we came with small books? Because we believe that there are works like 100 pages which cannot fit like into a research monograph, which cannot fit like a journal paper, because you have to do the reduction. So this comes handy, like 55 to 125 pages. This comes handy when it's a cutting edge research, very new recent research. This comes handy when you have a class note. Even senior people have a class note, they can make a Springer brief. It can be a single chapter, it can be multiple chapter. Interestingly, it has a copyright in author's name, this book, so you don't have to worry about transferring your copyright. You can also reuse the content, obviously taking care of the plagiarism thing, but you can reuse the content somewhere else where you can do that. So this is a book which I always tell young scholars, young researchers, this is a kind of a book that you should start with, small book. This will help you to understand how to write a book also.
The minimum page number?
55 to 125, yeah. Now, before I conclude, I would like to tell you about, yes sir.
This is applied sciences and technology, right?
Sir, this is just a example. It's just an example. When we started with this. That is why I put it over here.
Maybe in other fields also.
74 different areas. Books for reference. Before I conclude, I will tell you about 4 books. These books I feel everyone should have. Not expensive at all. You have to skip couple of McDonald's only, and then you can buy them. So this is how to write and publish a scientific paper. This is written by Robert A. Day and Barbara Gastel. 8th edition, the cover is there. 9th is I think out, and 7th is freely available. So you can go, if you don't want to buy, even the PDFs are available on Google. This is a book called Getting It Published, talking about the nuances of publication. This is written by one of the publishers, William Germano. Thirdly, this book is a very good book, Textbook of Research Ethics by Sana Lu. It is used as a textbook in many universities, and this is a very recently published book, writing for publication, because I don't have time to talk about different tools over here. I just highlighted few of them. This is a good book for scholarly tools. You can go there and you can see what all new things are coming up. So this will help you. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. If you have any question, I will be here till 3 o'clock, 3:30, so we can discuss whatever questions you have, not necessarily from my presentation, anything related to publication. And if you don't have any questions right now, or during the day, please go back, use them, and then you can come back. Yeah, please.
So is it unethical that as a reviewer, to
Yes.
use the RoboWriter or any online tools to upload the paper and get flagged?
It's not unethical, but definitely I won't recommend that you, again, when you are using that, you are basically putting someone's content.
Yeah, that's go to the online mode.
Exactly.
So how to check the plagiarism if the publisher don't have this plagiarism?
No, plagiarism check is not AI check, right? Plagiarism.
Actually, that is the editor. Editor,
Sometimes that, but some of the publishers also they don't give it. But when we review it, we assume that they will check.
Yeah, no,
that part is taken care of by.
See, I can tell you something that till 2015 to 2016, we were randomly checking things. So when, like for this conference, if 127 papers are there, randomly we will pick 20% papers and we will check them. That era is gone. Now each and every paper will be checked.
But I think for a journal special issue or a conference, I would say in the best practice really is that the conference organizers would run
Check them once
all
before.
the papers
Yeah.
that are submitted through Turnitin
Yeah.
first before they reach the reviewer. They shouldn't be relying on the reviewers because, as we said, reviewers, there's a lot of demands on their time already. That shouldn't be a concern. Now, that's not always happening, but in an ideal world, I would say that is the best practice.
But when you have a simultaneous submission, you know, it happens in conferences very well. And in simultaneous submission, what happens? Sometimes they have to, conference organizers have to check before even sending us. Again, those 127 papers, because there is a simultaneous submission. Author must have submitted at 3 different conferences, and that paper is already published by the time this conference is there, you know. So,
And that's why people like Aninda are so important, because when we publish proceedings and special issues for journal, we relinquish some of the control we would normally have over the process. So there has to be a lot of trust between us and conference organizers. And this is a great example of that, where we know, and we talked earlier this morning about online meetings and in-person meetings, and that's why those in-person things where you actually get to know someone, you know what, you've got lots of tools, but the tool I trust the most is my own intuition about the people I'm dealing with.
Actually, this is a typical problem for Turnitin, but this is not the problem for ICIDA. Turnitin used to keep all the contents in buffer.
Yes.
To not create the buffer, to show that it 98% from the
98%,
same one
90%
person.
like
So one university, it's a garbage,
Yes.
but it will show. So reviewers, if upload, then there is a high chance if it's uploaded through Turnitin,
it will remain in the cache and it will
Till a month, 30 days, they keep in the
cache, yeah.
Increasing while we are checking the number of times in Turnitin.
Yes.
There is a problem.
Yes.
That's true.
kept in the buffer.
So that is, yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, please, please.
It is very interactive. So one is my colleagues has faced this problem that when reviewer suggested some review, so they are also asking to cite some papers.
Hmm.
So this is very common and frequent.
Yes.
So I would like to know
Yes.
what Springer authority is thinking about this, because we are placing the authors in a checkbox. So why not we should place the reviewer also in a checkbox, and which is more corroborating towards ethical policies, because we are talking about the ethics. So reviewer must have also followed these rules. Okay.
Yes.
So what the Springer is thinking about this?
Very much frown on that practice.
Yeah, but I can tell.
This practice is
It's
being-
Kaushik, right?
Yeah.
Kaushik, you know, I can tell you one thing, that review, when we used to look at reviews before 1970 or so, everything was open review system. Authors know who are the reviewers know who are the authors, you know, so there's a very setup like this, people can communicate also. But after that, you know, as the volumes were so high and some fake things were coming, and you know, they started with single blind review. And single blind is where author, they don't know who are the reviewers, but reviewers know who are the authors, you know. So then came double blinds, you know, and double blinds, why double blinds came, I don't know how many of you know this, you know. In 1973, female scientists of US, they complained to the authorities that anything coming from females are getting rejected. So that was a big, you know, accusation which came, and it was investigated and they found that it was correct. Then the double blind thing started. So double blind actually covers everything. That, but again, many new journals which are we are signing in last 15 years or so, I have seen people are again talking about open review system. Why not we we are open with it. So there are journals where you will find double blind which are there, so you can completely hide that thing, so there is no possibility to see who are basically participating and all. So review system is also something which is getting evolving over a period of time, and that is needed also with kind of volume we deal with. If you look at that number which I gave you in the beginning, 4 lakh plus papers are published by Springer alone in 2023. So you can very well imagine how many papers are being actually published, and this is not just 25-30% papers which are like published, 70-75% papers are in the process. So dealing with these big numbers, review is the biggest challenge. I know, that is why I said in the beginning also, for any conference organizers, getting Anindo Bose here is not a challenge. Giving you good food is not a challenge. But the biggest challenge is the review.
I would just say, as a very quick, and we can chat about it afterwards if you like, but I would say it also depends sometimes. So I say generally we frown upon it.
Yeah.
But of course, as a reviewer, if you're going to spot something and say, well, actually, I have a paper that adds something considerably and could be helpful, and it's how that's conveyed as well in the review. You might want to take a look at this paper and see if it fits, as opposed to, well, you missed these 5 papers of mine, and they're not really relevant. And that's where an experienced researcher is able to tell the difference. Whereas sometimes, and we talk a lot about the pressure that's on young researchers, they feel, okay, I just want to get this over the line here, and I'll do exactly what the reviewer tells me, which is not always, the reviewer isn't a god.
It's not an authority, not an authority at all, yeah.
It's a reviewer, it should be. So I think that's where, it's nuanced, of course. Yeah.
No, I must acknowledge Springer nature that they're giving us the scope to publish, and their ethics policies and maintaining the quality of the research. That is, I must appreciate and acknowledge. And it is also true, as against to my comments of the question, I must appreciate the reviewers also, that sometimes they have sent me some papers to cite which is not from their group.
Yeah, of course. That's a very common thing, Kaushik.
That's good reviewing, I would say.
That's a good, very common thing, Kaushik. Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah, that is good. Actually, that is good.
But I'll tell you, we've had editors-in-chief who we fired because they were getting almost every paper that was coming through to just boost their citation.
Yeah.
And that we completely condemn, and we will cancel the contracts of some editors because of that.
You can go to JCR report and you can see for each and every journal there is a self-citation thing is available. You can very well see how much is.
So it is more about to democratize the public.
Yes.
It is more about this.
Yeah.
Sir, one more question I have.
Yeah.
This is also regarding the policies of the not only Springer but also the all other groups. Because first I have to accept the claim that the Indians and the Chinese are the main source of the predatory journals and the predatory publications. So it is, I have to accept, because the data is there. But one more thing is that, as Mr. Anindo already told, that there is a sheer push or the sheer fear to publish. But from the point of view of these journals, my 2 questions is there. One is the spatial issues, because journal also sometimes they are looking it forward for the business point of view. So they are sending to the very junior colleagues to write some review articles. So this is coming from the journals also, this kind of invitation. So is this not diluting the total publication in terms of the quality? This is first question. And second is the biggest problem to us, the Indians, that our government is funding only less than 1% GDP in the research. So when you are making the open access publication, more and more numbers of journals is coming to this open access. So it is a real problem for us, because we have the research, we have the publication materials, but this open access is preventing us to send these publications. So would you like to revert the policy from open access to again to the hybrid or the previous one?
That's a good one. I would say, very valid point, and we discussed it yesterday
Yeah.
as well. many hybrid journals, so we're not, but I do feel that the direction of travel is inexorably towards open access. It'll take a while. I think our own company is targeting 90% open access
by 2030.
By 2030. Whether that's achievable or not, I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, companies and certainly CEOs like to set these big targets, and I guess that's what their job is to do. But I'm not sure we'll be ready for that.
Yes.
And if it does, it would handicap research, I think, or the possibility of publishing for countries where the spend is just not there, the funding is not there. I certainly see it in that the hybrid journals are still there.
Yeah.
We certainly haven't, there are still possibilities for it. And eventually, I would imagine economics will determine. So either something will have to give in terms of investment in countries where that's a problem, or it'll have to give at the publishers where we'll say, okay, you know what, maybe we're a little bit ambitious. There's a lot of very positive things to say about open access, also for the readership in countries that weren't able to afford the subscriptions before. But it's typically the law of unintended consequences. When people talked about open access 25 years ago, the Budapest Initiative, it was intended to completely democratize the whole thing. But the unintended consequence was that the rich are still getting richer because they can afford to the open access fees, which are high, and they're high for a reason, to keep this thing sustainable. So that would be my answer on that. And I know it's vague, and I'm not trying to avoid it.
No, I just wanted to point out one thing, Kaushik, over here. Even I said 44% papers are published in open access in 2023. I can tell you, even after doing this also, papers from India and China are not reduced. It is not playing as a deterrent over there. We are getting enough. Although we are not in the waiver of low income country, we are also placed in the middle income group and all. So, but still we are getting papers. I don't know what exactly will happen in 10 years time, but definitely I don't see that there will be a problem as such, because more funders, if I go back 10 years back, there were only 50 funders. Now we are talking about 300 funders, more institutions, more people are getting aware of open access. When I used to talk about open access in 2015, half of the people were looking at me, what is open access? Now everybody knows what is open science. So this is what is basically the awareness which is basically going there. So it will help. Definitely it will help. Thank you so much. I don't want to take much more time. I will be taking time of someone else's presentation. So
Thank you, Mr. Anand, for an enlightening and interesting session. I would like to invite Dr. Abhishek Bhattacharya come here to give memento and honor Mr. Anand Bose.
thank you so much. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
বসুন, আমি দি বসছি, তাতে কি আছে?
I would like to call our guest, Dr. Ashit Kumar Das, Professor at Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, and Honorary General Chair of ICIDA 2024. To felicitate Dr. Das, I would request Abhishek Bhattacharya, sir. Sir? Thank you, sir. You would like to share a few words? Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed colleagues and the renowned researchers. First of all, it's my privilege and pleasure to welcome all of you into the third international conference on ICIDA. And as we know, that is the means innovations in data analytics. So that's the actually we can say the cornerstone for any kind of decision making systems. So nowadays we know the say machine learning and artificial intelligence, they are so much popular in not only for the industry decision making, but it is equally important for healthcare and for all other academics and different disciplines. So this decision making for large volume of data means we have to learn the patterns based on huge volume of data. We know that for that there are different large language models developed by Google and also OpenAI and so on. So that are very much helpful for machine means language translation or language generation or summarization and so on. And data analytics basically not only the simple say relational or say some tabular kind of data. We nowadays handle huge volume of different unstructured data, including text, graphical data, say audio video data, and different kinds of say medical data and so on. And where deep neural network especially takes an important role. But the main challenges here in case of the machine learning or say large language model is that how we can handle the biasness. So there are different kinds of, we know the say overfitting handling problems are there, and similarly the another challenges are ethics and privacy are also most important. So I think there are so many different researchers from different groups or disciplines. So these 2 days we will get the opportunity to share the knowledge, and there are many renowned keynote speakers here in this conference. So we think that in these 2 days the program will be very much successful, and every researchers will listen all the talks and also the presentations, and so that finally we can collaborate with ourselves and make the network. So thank you very much, and welcome you all again, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. And next, I'm thrilled to introduce our next keynote speaker, Dr. Milan Tiba, the Professor of Computer Science, Mathematics, and Electrical Engineering. He is also the head of the Artificial Intelligence Project at Singidunum University, Serbia, and also the Vice Rector of International Relations, Serbia. He is among the 2% of the most influential scientists in the world in all disciplines, one of the contribution during the entire career and other for the contribution in the previous year, like 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24. For Professor Tuba is the highest ranked computer science researcher in Serbia, according to the AD Scientific Index. He was Vice Rector for the International Relations at Singidunum University, Head of the Department for Mathematical Sciences at State University of Novi Pazar, and Dean of the Graduate School of Computer Science at John Nesbitt University. Professor Tuba is the author of or co-author of around 300 scientific papers and editor, co-editor or member of the editorial board or scientific committee of number of scientific journals, Springer books, congresses and international conferences. He was invited and delivered more than 100 keynote and inaugural lectures at international conferences. His research interest includes artificial intelligence, deep learning, neural network, nature-inspired optimization algorithms, image processing, computer networks. Sir, we are honored to hear you today. and please come and share your insights for the future. For the felicitation, I would like to invite Dr. Shurojit Goon, the convener of ICIDA 2024. Over to you, sir.
Now it's already good afternoon to everybody. It is great honor and pleasure to be here. I learn from more experience, so I will stand in this corner.